Good morning. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers. Gives me time to reflect. My mother's been gone. You can tell I didn't plan this. 24 years now. 25. Yeah. Because Dad's been gone 31. Yeah. So anyway, happy Mother's Day. I don't have a whole lot of women that watch this. I looked at my demographics and it's like men from the age of 35 to 65, which makes sense because that's where I am. Yeah, I don't get too many female viewers because I'm not too good looking anymore. I used to be a good looking man, and when you're fucking 60, man. So anyway, I went to the lumber yard locally, and I measured wrong, and I'm 3 inches short. And you ask, well, why would a man of your skills and abilities fail to measure? I'm like, because I forgot the thing I always preach about, and that's the fucking curve. And it's on the miter saw. It's the tear out. The teeth. Blade's only yay thick, but damn teeth, the outside edges of the teeth. If you're not cutting on the inside on one side and you cut on the outside on the other, then all of a sudden that, you know, eighth eighth over, eighth under becomes a quarter, and then it becomes a half, and then it becomes, you do the math. And then if you have a board that's not exactly 10 feet long, did I go and fucking measure every one of them? No. I measured wrong. But thanks to some fancy geometry, I can fix this. And to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of glad that I do, because it gives me something else to do, because this was going to be finished real quick. So I want to go over two things. If you're familiar with wood, then you wouldn't have gotten this far anyway. There's nothing going to happen here. So, like that one day that went on. It's nothing happening tonight. Like, okay, I'll just get drunk. So, wood has stamps on it. And this one, if I'm reading it correctly upside down, it looks like CIFQ. I think that's the forestry for. It's a Canadian International de Forestier Quebec, and the HT is heat treated. It's not pressure treated. It's heat treated for pests. And then the number on there, it looks like 591 something. Well, I can always turn it over and look at it. Yeah, 591. It just tells you the mill that it came out. So this is like this whiteboard. They call it whiteboard now. Used to call it SPF. Spruce, pine, fir. Some people call it tulip wood. Some people call it a yellow pine because in the southern areas of Quebec there's that. But I read an article saying that some of these new hybrid trees that they're planting grow up to 5 feet in a year. That's a lot, especially if you want to have sustainable forestry, and that's what Canada's all about, being fucking sustainable. I'm not even going to get started on the Canucks. So I measured short, and I started to look at the markings on the wood. This was from my friends at Lowe's, and this is from my local guy, my guy. Find a corner here. Not staged. And I haven't hit my head yet. So I went to the local hardware or lumber store, and they've been around probably for, I don't know, 14 generations, since like the 11th century. I said, "Do you have any SPF?" It used to be spruce pine fir. It was labeled as such because I don't know, because I think it's pine, like you think. Because either that or poplar. I'm like, well, that's kind of a big difference if you're going to stain it, because certain woods takes different stains better, and you just whatever. If you get paint it, that matters too. What kind of primer do you use? So you ask, where's all this fucking going? So this is what I get without looking. Is this like a mirror image? Can you actually read this shit? I bet is this backwards to you? This is my left hand. It is backwards. Because it's a rear facing, it's a forward facing camera. That's why it's backwards. Everything's left to right, right to left, like the Chinese. So anyway, since this is pointless, this is ESPRL pine, which is eastern spruce, and then that's peculiar. This is American then, and that's why. This is Georgian. This is Georgia. This is Georgia pine. That's exactly what that is. That's why you say SPF, because it was American. Okay, so I solved an issue here. It took me 7 minutes and 30 seconds. I don't have any storage for this. But if you've learned anything, remember, what's your kerf? Try to get the straightest board you can find. But there aren't any straight boards, so it really doesn't matter. They're gonna have, I mean, this is number 2, so it's not like the lowest of the low. But I wanted to pull out the old router and do like a, I've had these router bits. I bought router bits several years ago when I bought the router. The router's still in the box. I mean, open it. I wanted to do like a, something called like a round over. I don't know. Maybe something just like a round over. Be kind of like a. It's not a rabbit. It's like a Roman OG or something like that. Something's got a little corner, but it's got a little relief at the bottom. Oh, that's what I meant. Oh, that's what I was getting to. So I was 3 inches short, but using my fancy geometry, and saving all the leftovers, I can make it work. And thanks to the blade on my miter saw, which was fairly new, I have red markings on the one because a 10-inch saw will not cut a 6-inch piece, will not cut a 6-inch board. And I was thinking, because I had 12-inch saws, and I was like, why the fuck is this an inch short, inch and a half on the underside? It's a 10-inch blade. So remember, if you have a 10-inch blade, you cannot fully cut at 45 degrees. 45. You can probably cut it at, I don't know, 70, 60, 50 to 90. You just got to flip the piece of wood around. Problem is the blade, now it's turning in the opposite direction. on the piece. So it's hard to get it perfectly lined up. But I did do a good job here. I really did. You see a little bit of discoloration there. It's not the light, that's actually the shadow from the very, very tiny little, very tiny. So, all's well. And when you're cutting wood, always make sure that you like scribble something on like your cutoff piece. Because something as simple as like cutting like 245s on something to try to get a 90 degree and have like a what do you call that? Not a lip, but a reveal. Um, Sometimes cuts like that are they're simple, but they're easy to screw up, especially if you're dealing with any board feet. If it's a small piece, you can tell, the long ends are, away from you, or the point, the furthest, point from the 45 is away from you. So the shortest distance is going to be on the inside on this side. So this cut has to be opposite in the opposite direction of this cut. They have to meet like a triangle. And that's how I always remembered it. But it's easy to screw up, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. I just wish I had a garage. So if there's any women out there, within like 742 miles of the outskirts of Cleveland, let me know. I can move in pretty much anytime. I'm real handy. I ain't real quick, but independently wealthy. Got lots of retail experience. So, that opportunity is always there. Great conversationalist. I can talk to a tree. I've told people this. They don't believe it. I can. I talk to myself all the time. I was talking to one of the aisles earlier today. The dude walked around the end. He's like, "Who you talking to, man?" I was like, "I guess myself, since there's no one here and I didn't know you were there." He's like, "You say some fucked up shit, man." I was like, "Well, I'm a fucked up individual. That's what makes me interesting." So that's the Sunday report. Again, happy Mother's Day if you've watched this far. Thank you. And next time we're going to go over Japanese saws versus American saws. And then we're going to go over the most important chart that I have, which is a fraction decimal conversion chart. I glance at least once a day. Because if you want to know what 11/16ths in standard in imperial is, and you're like, man, how many inches is it exactly as a decimal? It's 0.6875. So you don't have to do 11 by 16 on the calculator. And then it also tells you that it's 16.668 millimeters, which means it's 1.668 centimeters, which means the fucking Canadians have it right. All came full circle. Happy Mother's Day. And enjoy all your tinkering. Take care, everyone.